Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Councillor Penny Matthews. I'll be chairing for today. On my left, I have
Craig Davis, the legal advisor.
Sorry. Yeah, morning, it's Councillor Paul Lloyd. Good morning, it's Richard Lewis.
Good morning, I'm Rachel Lewis, operational lead for licensing.
Morning all, it's Darren Murphy, Licensing Officer, Swansea Council.
Good morning, Samantha Jenkins, Democratic Services Officer.
Thank you. And the people online, please, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Mr. Panchal representing the DSC Food and Wine Limited. I've got Mrs. Diljit Kaur with me, the director of DSC Food and Wine Limited. I will be. Case, ma'am.
Thank you. And we have other people online as well? No? No, okay, thank you. So let's start off by going to our legal officer who'll take us through the procedure that we'll take this morning. You will have had a copy of this.
Good morning, everybody. You will have, as the chair has just set out, you should have had a copy of the report, which on those first pages sets out the procedure, which generally speaking is the licensing officer will read out the report. The members will be able to ask any questions of them. Then, if any other persons are present, I understand one other person is going to attend and speak. We're still waiting to see confirmation as to whether or not the local members or anyone representing them are going to speak. Nevertheless, officers can ask questions of the representatives, and then it will move to the applicant who put forward their reps. Members can ask any questions, and then it jumps to the closing submissions, where all persons are able to have their final summary, which is in order of responsible authorities, interested parties, and the applicant. We'll then go into closed session, where the members will receive legal advice and or debate the application. A decision will not be given until 5 working days after this date. I should have said earlier that when I referred to the representations, I do not believe any of the responsible authorities, South Wales Police Trading Standards example, are going to be given any comment. It was just going to be the local gentleman. Okay, you happy?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that. I believe a gentleman has joined us. Would you like to introduce yourself, please, sir?
Yeah, my name is Mandeep Patel, and I'm speaking on behalf of the residents of Mount Pleasant.
Thank you for that. So now we've done the introductions and we know the order we're taking. We go to the officer who will give us a brief outline of the application itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning all. The premises in question is DSC Food and Wine, 51 Terrace Road, Swansea, SA16PE. The applicant is DSC Food and Wine Limited. An application for a new premises licence was received by the authority on the 23rd of April 2025. The applicant has applied for a premises licence to allow the following licensable activities to take place. The supply of alcohol Monday to Sunday, 8 until 2300 hours. A copy of the application and plan is attached. Appendix A, this is on page 7, and Appendix A1 at page 29. Background. The property is situated on Terrace Road. It is an end of terrace property in a residential area. The premises is to be used as a convenience store. A location plan is at Appendix B. This is on page 30. A list of licensed premises in the area is attached to Appendix B1. This is on page 31. Promotion of the licensing objectives. The Licensing Act contains 4 licensing objectives, namely prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, protection from protection of children from harm. My apologies. Each of these objectives is in equal importance, and the application must demonstrate how they are to be promoted. We have received no representations from the responsible authorities. As far as other persons, we have 6 representations received from 6 other persons and a petition containing 140 signatures. These are attached to Appendix D. This is on page 34. Appendix D1. This is on page 48. And Appendix D2. This is on page 51. Considering this application, members should have regard to the current statement of licensing policy, which can be found at the following link. Guidelines by the Home Secretary. Members should also have regard to the relevant parts of the current statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary February 2025. A link can be to the guidance can be found at shown below. Determination of the application. The decision must be based on the individual merits of the application and the representations received, with a view to promoting the licence objectives outlined in paragraph 5 of the report. In arriving on the decision, the members should also have regard to the provisions of the policy and the guidance as previously provided. Reasons must be provided for any departures from the policy or guidance. In reaching the decision, the committee must, having regard to the representations, take such steps mentioned below as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licence and objectives. 1. A. Grant the licence subject to conditions that reflected the operating schedule, modified to such an extent that the authority considers appropriate for the promotion of the licence and objectives. Any mandatory conditions relevant to the licence. B. Exclude any of the licensable activities which the application relates. C. Refuse to specify the person in the licence as the premises supervisor. D. Reject the application. In view of the representation received, the licensing subcommittee instructions are requested.
Thank you very much. Does anyone on the committee have any questions for the officer, please? No questions at this time. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll go to the objectors now. Mr. Patel, I believe you're representing the residents, you said?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Okay, over to you, Mr. Patel. If you'd like to explain to us why you're objecting.
Well, there's been concerns raised by the residents. Firstly, with the fact that the premises is on the main route for the children walking to school, so they have to walk past that premises to be able to get to the school, which the entrance is on Norfolk Street. And so the parents have been concerned because it's quite a multicultural school, and there's no presence of a lollipop lady there anymore because she got knocked over a couple of years ago but was never replaced. So there was concern by the parents of the children that if anything was going on outside the premises, then that means then the children would have to try to cross a road and then cross back over the other side. And so that was one of the issues. And the other was, like, there's a lot of elderly people where they use the bus stop and go back and forth from there. And because there's been problems in Norfolk Street and Rhondda Street, sometimes there's been people gathering or, you know, waiting for meeting up with people who are drunk or having a drink. It puts them off from actually going to go to get the bus from the bus stop, because that is the only footpath which is right by there without them having to cross over the main road and then cross back over again. These are just some of the points. And I'm presuming you've looked at the letter.
Each one of us on the committee will have been given a copy of
Right.
the letters, and,
Yeah.
and we will have been through these thoroughly, yes.
Okay, so these are the main concerns. Is about the fact that is like a big concern by the people from the school and the elderly population about you know, putting them off from actually going and affecting the quality of their life to a degree as well.
Mr. Patel, can I just ask a question just for some clarity on the points you've already made?
Yep.
You said people are meeting up by there. Where is there? Because
I'm not there. I said on Norfolk Street. So like there's a lot of people that congregate on Norfolk Street and on Rhondda Street. And obviously, like we presume they're drug users or whatever. I mean, we can't say, but I know that there's usually problems around those areas. And what the concern is that it would spill out onto, if it was on the other road as well, it would spill out onto the main road, which is making it more dangerous for people, whereas the others are side roads. Because if you noted, the number of objections from Norfolk Street and Rhondda Street were to do with these particular reasons.
so those are issues which all are already existent.
That's already existent, yeah.
But this is an application for a shop on the corner of Terrace Road and Harcourt Street, is it?
Yeah, on Harcourt Street, yeah. But that is actually the main thoroughfare from going. If people are going to get the bus, they must walk through Harcourt Street and then onto the bus stop. There's no other way they can get there.
So the other point I was going to ask, where did the lollipop lady used to be? Where was she situated?
She used to be directly outside the proposed premises, directly outside.
Going
if you
across
look-
Harcourt Street or Terrace Road?
No, on the actual main road.
Right. Not further down towards the school.
No.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify some of those points just to see where exactly you were talking about. Okay. Have you got more points to make?
Not that I can remember off the top of my head, no, but these were the major ones, and obviously the residents living adjacent to the property, they've all raised concerns about littering and noise pollution. And I know in particular there's a couple of like older people that live across the road from the premises who have again said they've concerned about noise and the antisocial behavior aspect of it. The main reason is because it's like the main road from like Town Hill, and people usually walk from Town Hill all the way down into town via Mount Pleasant Hill. So so that's why they're worried as well, because a lot of the people sometimes they walk into Harcourt Street and onto Norfolk Street, which sometimes causes problems. Like I don't know whether the committee has been able to look at the CCTV link of some of the issues that have happened on the junction there. But again, the main concern is
Which junction?
that if anything does spill out, then it'll spill out onto a main busy road, as opposed to what's currently happening is if something does happen there, it happens on a side road, which is still very, very busy.
Right, reading between the lines, are you effectively saying the Londis and the other shops are the cause of these issues, and that's what you don't want
But they're
to
not
be?
the cause. I wouldn't say they're the cause of the issues, but obviously it doesn't help with the issues because people, you know, they come down that street and then if they're buying alcohol and then it causes problems and noise pollution within the street.
Okay. What I'm trying to do is give you as much opportunity to elevate any of your representations as possible. That's why I keep asking you to see if I can. But if there's anything more you wish to say, of course, the members have read the document provided.
Okay.
Do you want to say, I saw some pictures regarding radius and crime. I have to say it, not just at this, it appears to me that this percentages of crime aren't just relevant to Norfolk Street, Rhondda Street, Terrace Road. It appears to be a wider curtilage, but is there anything you want to say,
when I
Matt?
read it was according to, it says within half a mile radius of that postcode. So it wasn't in particular to Terrace Road itself, but it's within half a mile of that radius is what I read up there.
Right, so that radius takes in High Street, which is notorious, yes?
I'm not sure. I'd be lying. I don't know whether High Street comes in that radius, but it's within half a mile radius. So, pardon me, I'm not 100% sure. So no good me saying, oh yes, definitely.
Okay, well, I tell you what we'll do. Let's see if the officers can throw some light on it
Okay.
to make it clear.
Morning all. I investigated Street Check itself. I did draw up a radius. It expands out as far as just to the train station. It takes in the entire area and then up past into Town Hill itself. So you're looking at an actual circumference of quite a large area that the radius actually reached down as far as the train station. So it would take into consideration High Street.
Thank you for that. Okay, is there anything else, Mr. Patel, you'd like to add?
No, not at this moment, no. Apart from the fact that obviously we haven't got a PCSO, so I'm surprised. So that is one point that should be considered, because I know you probably said there's been no representation from the police or whatever, but we actually haven't had a PCSO for quite some time now, which again we've asked, but the South Wales Police seem to be a bit overstretched on that part.
I'll just, if anyone else on the committee has questions for you. Any questions? Okay, I've got a few questions, Mr. Patel. Where in relation to this application do you actually live? Because are you very near where you live?
No, I'm going to actually be living on Harcourt Street itself. At 15 Norfolk Street, there's been a planning application put in for a 2-bedroom house there. So that's where I'll be living, is behind the bakery, which would be on Harcourt Street itself. It's the old bakehouse, and that planning application is going through as we speak.
But you're not living there at the moment?
No, I'm not living there at the moment.
So where are you now?
I'm living in Clydach at the moment, but I own the bakery premises on Norfolk Street there.
You own the bakery premises?
Yeah, I own the bakery premises, yeah.
The bakery premises is gone now, hasn't it? It's finished.
It's operating as a cafe.
Yes, I used to go there for bread, that's how I know. Thank you. Anybody else any questions? No? With regard to you mentioned the PCSO, unfortunately, we haven't got a representation from the police, which is a bit surprising, because you said that there have been a number of issues there.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we haven't had the presence there, which is a bit unfair to us, and that's where a lot of the residents are actually fed up with all the issues going on, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. And I understand that the councillors were meant to be making representations, but apparently they're all in work or busy, or there's something that went wrong.
The councillors did actually make representation. We've got the letters from 2 of them. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, they're not able to be here this morning. Okay. There was a hiccup with one of the other representations. You're quite right there. But they were representing yourselves and your objections quite well, actually. You say this is on the main route to school.
Right.
And it's near the bus stop, which,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough, it probably is. But there's another shop on, I think it's Norfolk Street, isn't it? Well, it is Norfolk Street, on the corner that sells alcohol. So is that where you're suggesting that the alcohol that's being consumed now and in gatherings with people, do you think that's where it's coming from, do you?
Well, I wouldn't say it's solely coming from there. I mean, it comes from other places, but it does make, like, people do tend to gravitate towards that type of place. So I know that there's definitely been problems there. But my thing was, obviously, like, that is on the other corner, so it doesn't really affect people walking on their route to school as far as having to move out of the way in the pavement, because it's on a crossroads. I don't know whether you've got a map or something in front of you, but you could look at it. They walk and then they could just turn and they go to the walk towards the entrance of the school, which is on Norfolk Street.
Is there an entrance on Terrace Road to get into the school, or is it just Norfolk Street?
I'm not sure about that, but mostly I can't really answer that because I don't know 100%. But I know.
Nor do I. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
It's usually there, and in the mornings it's like 50, 60 like mothers and children walk around that corner and then onto the entrance, which is opposite Primrose Hill, I think, or somewhere.
Okay. Mr. Patel, I do have one question, because you were talking about obviously your reps and then the members reps, and then the locals reps. So the members here who are going to deliberate on this application have had sight of the petition and all the names on it. I don't know the context of the petition in that, how the names were achieved. Were you, because you have said that you represent the local persons, have you collected these names?
Yes, there was like residents on Terrace Road, which I've known for many, many years. There's residents on Norfolk Street. And what they done, because they'd obviously seen that, they'd asked then for me to give them paper with the letter to get signed. So they then give it to their neighbour. So that's how it was all achieved.
So the sheets weren't left somewhere; they were handed
No,
around,
they were given to the residents. So there was like 2 or 3 residents on Norfolk Street. There was residents on Rhondda Street, and then obviously the residents on Terrace Road.
Okay.
And the main reason is also because people said there's a lot of people that are not computer literate, and they found it difficult to be able to do that, to email. And also, I think a lot of people assume that it's the planning department, so they were ringing up the wrong department as opposed to the licensing department.
There we are. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You will have time to summarize any reps that you want to make at the end. But unless you want to say anything more now, we can move on to the applicant.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we come to the applicant now. Good morning, sir. You okay? Are you ready to speak to us?
Sorry, ma'am, I was just going to unmute myself to let you hear me.
That's okay, thank you.
Ma'am, is there any chance I could ask one question to the objector, with your permission?
I think at the end you'll have the opportunity to question the objector. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm going to go through quickly first to let you know the context or the background of the applicant, because that is very important in running an off license or a shop like that. experience is very vital when you look at what the objectors are putting forward their objections regarding this matter. I have looked at the objections, but I want to first let you know that the applicant does own some shops of their own, so they have a full experience regarding running. Sorry, ma'am.
My apologies. Someone has knocked the door and was trying to get in. We were listening, and please continue. The members are paying full attention.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry, I just thought, yeah, okay. Anyway, so they have other shops, and this applicant have a family of cousins and her husband and the father-in-law who are all involved in running this business. They do have a shop also in Uxbridge in London here, which they've been running for the last 8 years. And they have had no breaches, or they have not breached any of the 4 licensing objectives. And my brief description is how it's very important for in such a place of how to run a premises robustly, promoting the 4 licensing objectives. First of all, ma'am, they will be having a training manual. Any staff employed, they will be creating some employment in the area. Any staff employed will have the training manual, will have located his training. So a training will be carried out. I have got the training manual in front of me here. The training manual will be available for all responsible authorities to have a look, because the training will be logged into this. Prior to the training, the staff will also be checked with the right to work checklist, which is again important in this era with what we are going through, when we see loads of people coming to this country, asylum seekers, and there are also a lot of illegal immigrants. But they will be making sure none of that happens. So right to work documents will be checked before employment, and then a training should be given on site by the DPS. The DPS holds a personal license, has tremendous experience in running off licenses for the last 8 to 10 years. Those trainings will be logged in. The authorization for the alcohol sales will be logged in. Section 57 notice will be also put up where the license is available. Apart from that, ma'am, there will be all the posters required on the premises to make sure that which they are going to be following Challenge 25 policy at the premises. So nobody under the age of under the age of 18 will be served alcohol. Anybody come between the age of 25 and 18, they will be asked for an ID, a proper ID, and not a mobile phone ID. And those IDs will be checked, and before they are served with alcohol. No drunk people will be served with alcohol. There will be notices put up for what the concerns are with the neighbors here, that to tell the customers, please live quietly and consider our neighbors around the area. Then there'll also be an incident book. If there are any incidents, they'll be logged into. There will be a refusal book, which will be present once a refusal has been asked. That refusals will be noted into the refusal book. There will be a CCTV poster carrying out all the that there is a CCTV running on the premises. Ma'am, I can understand what the objector has just said to you, and I wanted to ask the objector that there is a vast area. What we are looking into, on page 87 of your bundle, appendix D2, which says where the crimes are involved, and none of those crimes are involved. I've looked through all the crimes, and I've looked through the where they occurred and what crimes have been occurring in this last from May to July. They aren't near the premises, which you are seeing on page appendix B, where the diagram is about the Harcroft Court Street and the Norfolk Street. It is interesting to note when you see the things signed up. I was notified that by my client, whether it's true or not, I cannot vouch that it is true. But some of these applications signed were laid out at the other shop whereby people who were using the shops, the applicants were signed in, the petitions, some of the petitions were signed in. So that makes it very interesting regarding the need that we are looking into. So when that's how the promotion of the staff training, the storage, the refusals, the CCTV, and I've also looked at 9.43 of the guidance, of the government guidance, and I'd like to mention to you, I'm sure it's 9.43, and on the 9.43, ma'am, let me go back to 9.43. Yeah, your determination should be evidence-based. So, ma'am, at the moment, we haven't got any evidence that you have in front of you regarding any matters relating near the shop or anything that has happened near the shop. So that is something. During our application process, we help the client to make the application to the council, and we worked along with the responsible authorities, and you can see none of the responsible authorities have objected to this application. Now, it is not the reason that they haven't got time to work around, but the incidents relate around the area are by the police, and they have a CAD system, and they have the criminal record noted out there, and none of the criminal records are around the shop or are in a way that could deny an application for a shop to work in the area. The other advantage the local community will get, because there will be a lighting put up in the shop, near the shop, there will be a bright lighting outside, there will be camera, there is a camera going to be put up outside the shop, which will give an advantage to the local community. There will be, if you look at the picture on page 29 of the diagram, there is going to be a camera outside, which we have not shown, but there will be a camera outside the premises, and it'll be fully lighted. So again, that would be a great advantage to the local community. When you look at the objectors' views on planning, on walking to the school, or on people near the bus stop area, ma'am, that isn't the matter for this committee. It is a matter for the planning to look at what matters about the parking, and that they can resolve if a shop is opened up. I'm also looking at on the guidance 10.10. The required licensing conditions should be tailored to the size, type, location, characteristics, and activities taking place at the premises concerned. So we've looked at that, and if you look at the conditions that we've laid out, if you look at on Appendix C, conditions consistent with the operating schedule. So there will be a CCTV, as I mentioned, inside and outside. All members of staff will be trained in the use of CCTV, so and it will be available to the police. This is a great advantage that the responsible authority police are going to have, because they will have the CCTV. And as I mentioned earlier, they will be not serving anybody who's drunk, so that equation is part of the licensing law, that drunk people, it will be a breach of the condition. And I have mentioned to you, for the last 8 years, the family have not breached any of the licensing conditions. There will be a suitable alarm system, also a panic button shall be fitted at the premises. That is another advantage the local community are going to get. The incident logbooks, as I've showed you, there'll be a staff training. All these are conditioned. There shall be no self-service of any spirits. All staff working at the premises are fully trained. There will be no notice, as I showed you, leave quietly. All those are conditioned on the premises. And if you look at the guidance, section 136 of the guidance clearly states it is a criminal offense to breach any of these conditions. So they're bound with those conditions of the challenge 25. Look at the IDs, the refusal books stating no proof of aid, no cell. Posters will be put up at the premises. So, ma'am, I'm also going to go back again on the 10.10. these conditions are viable. These conditions are not financially hurting to the client. So, and they do understand that robustly promoting the premises will be taken care of. So when we feel with these matters in place, we are happy to work along with the neighbors. We would like to work along with the neighbors. That is the most important part for any shopkeeper opening into any residential area. So ma'am, we will make sure that happens. The hours of trading are according to the core hours from your licensing policy. And the conditions are also from your licensing committee have been taken into consideration. So ma'am, we feel that this license be granted today. We are happy to take any questions you want to ask us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Do either of the other committee members have questions, please? No? Any questions?
Did the applicant say he'd been trading on the same site for some time?
Not this site, it's a new store.
It's a new store,
This is a new store.
brand new.
Sorry. Can you speak into the mic?
The question is, how long, it is a new store completely.
Yes.
Okay.
But they said that they've been trading. My apologies. Councillor Lewis was asking about the experience.
Yes.
The applicant said they'd been trading 8 to 10 years. Are you questioning where they've been trading?
No, I mean, the question is if they've been traded within the Swansea area, you know what I mean?
Applicant, do you want to give information as to where the applicants or the company's been trading?
Yes, ma'am. I can answer that. They have an off license in Uxbridge, which is quite a in Cowley Uxbridge in London here. The husband has a shop in Swansea. I can ask the address where it is, but again, he's familiar with running the shops in the area in Swansea for the last 8 to 10 years. So they have a huge experience in running off licenses. And can I just make it absolutely clear that this off license is not going to, if the license is granted, the shop is going to be refurbished. The area is going to be made much more better. And there will be some trading and employment in the area, giving some bright lights and putting the area into a better perspective.
Can I just clarify then, this is going to be a convenience store that
Yes, ma'am.
also sells alcohol, not an off license? It's primarily going to be a convenience store or an off license?
Ma'am, it is a convenience store with an off license. So normally the convenience stores, from our experience in licensing, is a convenience store with off license. So you could call it a convenience store with off license, or you could call it an off license. But more part of it is a convenience store. So you would have people coming in to buy their conveniences. With their past experience in Uxbridge and Swansea, they've been also delivering to people at home, for the older people. They've done that during the COVID period when they were running their premises in Uxbridge and there. So they're well known with their experience about the community. The older people tend to order by telephone and say, "Can we please deliver?" And that will be delivered and done. That is the way they will be running forward in this area.
That's grand. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Ma'am,
Is there any reason that you're asking to be open till 11 on a Sunday? Because I can see here from the work that the office has done on it,
Page 31.
which is very thorough, and they've put down that all the other stores in the area that sell alcohol close at 10:30.
ma'am, we are happy to close at 10 o'clock, 10:30. on a Sunday. We are happy to amend that. Looking at on page 20 of my application that I'm looking at 8 to, we're happy to amend Sunday's hours from 8 to 10:30 or 10 o'clock. We have no objection for that. I will leave that for the committee, but we are happy to amend that.
Thank you for that. That would be something we would consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, please. Any questions? I think we're going to throw it open now for the applicant and the objector. If you have any questions, if you could indicate to me, please. I know the applicant would like to ask Mr. Patel a question. So if you'd like to do that now.
Sorry, ma'am, do you want me to ask the question?
I think yes, I think.
My question to Mr. Patel is when you said you put this application, I've been told by my applicant, by my client, that some of the signatures were collected from the off license in that area. Is that true?
Some of them were, yes, but the reason was that I could name all the people that were actually handed the petitions for their particular streets that wanted to get signatures, but not all of the people were available at home at the same time, and not all of the people were there when the person went and asked them if they'd object or whatever, or how they feel about it. So yes, there was a copy there which people were told that they could come and sign, but I must add that there's no random addresses. They're all addresses with full postcode, full address, full name of actual residents of the actual street. So there's no
Sorry, Mr. Patel, my question is that people using that shop were promoted to go to the shop to sign those petitions, some of them.
That they weren't promoted. It was the people that were handed the petition, the residents of, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention names on here of the people that were handed it, but I've certainly provided to the chair in camera or whatever, if the chair wishes, and it can be verified. So like I said, the people that had the petition, they took it and obviously read it, and then the other concerned residents wanted to sign it, so they took it to them to be able to sign, because not all of them are mobile, or not all of them are available at each time. So that's what I said. So there was a copy placed there for convenience of people.
Yeah, my question was that they went into the shop to sign it, and the copies were put down at the shop there.
There was a copy available, but nothing laid out like that. There's copy available for people to be able to come
at the shop to pick it up.
Gentlemen, I think we get the point. There was a petition handed around houses and a petition left in the Londis store. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right. So they were accumulated in that way. Whether it's 1 or 20 or 2,000, the letter attached to the petition sets out the reasons as to why any of those signatures are put in their signature. And then, of course, we've heard from Mr. Patel for his reps already. So we get that point. Are there any questions around, well, the 4 objectives? Because that's the relevant point here. Okay. Not parking, not traffic. It's the objectives or the issues that could be caused by a new premises license against the objectives.
Ma'am, we don't have any more. Sorry, ma'am, we don't have any more questions, but we will be putting our
Okay, thank you for that.
submission when if you require.
Okay, that's grand. Thank you for that. Mr. Patel, do you have any questions for the applicant, please? Or the representative?
I haven't got any questions really. I know, like the applicant mentioned, the fact that the issues can't be, you know, what I'm saying is the issues can't be resolved once it's open, but it's nothing personal against the applicant or their experience. So there's no doubt on their experience, but it's more about the potential for more problems within the area. So it's not something against the applicant themselves. So that's all I wish to add. Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
Can I-
thank you for that.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
can I reply to that? That does
Yes,
Mr.
of
Battle-
course.
Yes, Mr. Battle, do you understand that if any of the conditions were breached or any of the before licensing objectives were breached, you understand that we will be coming back in front of this committee and may have our license revoked, which
Yeah.
we do not want to have it. So you
No,
have
no,
another,
I
you have
understand
another,
that.
yeah. At the moment,
yeah.
you are assuming that what might happen, but if it does happen, you have a chance to bring us back in front of this committee and have our license revoked, which our client does understand in making sure the full licensing objectives will be thoroughly promoted. Are you happy with that?
I understand that, yes, but it's more so like obviously you guys are from like a big city and things, and in Swansea and then particularly, you know, areas of like Mount Pleasant and things, whereas we are very, very community orientated. And I suppose, I mean, no disrespect to people from London or city, it's a very, very different world in Swansea and the small communities. We are still very, very tightly knit.
May I ask you to take that back from what you said? We are also community based in London. We do understand our neighbours and we do understand our community.
Yeah,
Sorry, man.
Gentlemen, I
Yeah.
think you're steering off the point.
Yeah, thank you so much.
look,
Thank you. Thank you.
That's why I commented earlier about keep it to the objectives.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so let's move on from that point. We could see where that was going with both of you. Are there any more points you wish to make regarding or questions regarding the objectives? Because there is one of the local members who speak, you know, with the reps that you've seen in the document. One of the local members is here to speak on behalf of those persons, and or he may have a question as well. So I propose when you have finished what you're going through, that for them to.
That's it. I have no further to say unless the other gentleman.
We'll I think at the end, because these are sort of, we've done it now as an open environment, but we'll do final submissions.
Yeah.
So on that basis, each of you consider what final submissions you want to make around the objectives. Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Phillips, would you like to say a few words, or do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you, Chairman. My apologies for being late. I had a major nosebleed and I had to change my clothes. Otherwise, it would have looked like I'd been coerced into turning up. My question for Mr. Patel, and my apologies, sir, for being late. It's a similar point to the question that you've already been asked. You've made the point, which is correct, that the petitions were in shops or a shop, but you're not suggesting, are you, that the signatories were coerced into signing it? That they signed it because they thought that that was something that they accepted to be true?
Sorry, sir.
I think that was sort of covered already by both the gentlemen in their questions and their answers.
Okay, Chairman. The other question was that Mr. Patel said, I think it's Mr. Patel, that there'd been nothing, no issues with the shop.
Sorry, the other gentleman you need to talk to. It's not me.
What?
You mentioned.
I missed the name of the applicant. Sorry, who was the applicant?
And Mr. Panchal?
It's a company name, but
No, his representative is.
Yeah, Mr.
Mr.
Panchal.
Panchal.
But my comment is to him. Sorry, Mr. Patel, I misheard all this. The comment was made in the applicant representative's submission that there'd been no issues about the shop at all. But that's hardly surprising given that it's been closed for about 10 years.
No, Councillor, respectfully, if you'd been present at this point when this was discussed, it was raised. You'll note that within the bundles, there's documents which relate to radiuses and percentage of crime. That was questioned. The officer confirmed that the lasso around the area is at least 1.5 miles, and it goes as far as 1 mile. My apologies. And it goes as far as the train station around. So those crime data information relate to that. Of course, it does not relate to a shop that's been a hairdresser for X amount of time.
Thank you. Do I make my other comment now? I would to draw to the committee's attention that Appendix B1, the map, which shows the location of the licenses premises, repeated an error that I'd also made, that we have both admitted a 6th off licence, which is the Co-op in Walter Road at the bottom of Constitution Hill. I just make that point for accuracy. You've gone down as far as Tesco's in St Helens Road, but there's another one between them, right at the bottom of Constitution Hill, which also sells next door to what used to be the 10B. It used to be the pub next door to the 10B. I'm here to represent Councillor Gordon and my colleagues who have submitted accepted objections to the application or comments on the application, both of whom are unable to be here because they have work commitments that they couldn't change. I wanted to make a general point, Chairman. Thank you for allowing us to speak. The DCMS guidance says that where a representation concerning licence objective is made by a responsible authority about a proposed operating schedule, it's relevant, but it's also not frivolous or vexatious. And they go on to say that a representation is relevant if it relates to the likely effect of the grant of the licence on the promotion of at least one of the licensing objectives. The difficulty, I think, that both the local population and ourselves as local representatives found was where objections are not considered relevant and where there are no published guidelines as to how those 4 criteria are to be applied. Our view would be that it should be up to the licensing committee to determine the relevance of those objections, because we've no way of determining what is or isn't. They're dismissed before it ever gets to committee. So, for example, there are generally accepted proximity criteria for the allowances of licensable premises to schools. The general rule being a distance of something of the order of 400 metres. For example, you wouldn't allow a casino to be open within that distance to a school, but there's none for the sale of alcohol only. But I would ask the committee, would you grant a new licence for a public house within 400 yards of a school?
Councillor, my apologies. I believe that refers to the gambling.
No,
Alcohol.
I'm making a general point about this in terms of the comments that were made. There's no criteria that I can see in the City and County of Swansea's guidance that establishes any sort of criteria in that regard. So the school has now got 7, is now surrounded by 7 off licenses. And we would argue that the cumulative effect of granting that application has to be a valid consideration, as it would result in the primary school being effectively surrounded by most approaches. My colleagues have made the point that the shops so close to Terrace Road School may encounter the people coming from the off licence drinking, because although we welcome the restrictions and controls that the applicant has put on the operation of the off licence, but once they've left the premises, they will be drinking probably in the street. There's more chance of that happening. We think that that is a risk for children. That's been laid out in detail, both by the community submissions and by my council colleagues. I want to refer next to public safety, public nuisance, which is defined in the guidance as the reduction of the living and working community and environment of other persons living and working in the area of the licensed premises. My colleagues have made the point about another shop will increase the number of people looking for small shops selling alcohol. And the view of the residents in the area is there's already enough of them. This is not an issue about domination of trade or loss of trade by the other premises, to which I do not refer, because I accept that that's business. The difficulty is going to be to assess that in the longer term. But we do think it is a valid consideration that committee should take into account that the availability of alcohol on a main road, which is the main road to and from Townhill into the city centre, is likely, almost certainly, to result in more people drinking on the street. My other point is that I know that I was told, and in a very helpful conversation I had with the licensing officer, that traffic and highways management isn't strictly a licensing matter. But I would ask committee to consider the spirit of the Licensing Act 2003 in the guidance in section 182, that a sensible approach should be taken to the consideration of representations is relevant, so far as they relate to the likely effect, i.e. the impact of the grant of the licence. The view of all of us is that giving approval for this licence to this commercial premises on this site will result, through transport and deliveries, people double parking on Terrace Road and delivery vehicles doing the same. I won't go into the details about the traffic situation because they're clearly contained in the written submissions. But I do want to emphasise that we are of the view that the committee should consider those to be relevant, because it clearly is going to be a likely impact for the granting of the licence. The alcohol is going to be delivered to the shop. People are going to stop in cars, as they do at the other convenience stores outside, to collect it. The delivery drivers will not stop in Harcourt Street and push their load round the corner up the hill. They will double park in Terrace Road, which is a very fast, narrow road. And we're particularly concerned of the effect on that on the primary school and the walking route to school. As I said before, the premises was a hairdresser, and there's scarcely any available parking. And we think we would ask on those grounds that the committee does consider that when thinking about whether or not to grant the application. I was going to bring another point about the opening hours, and I was grateful that the applicant's representative has agreed to reduce the opening hours to those around so that we were concerned there'd be one last shop open. Everybody would be going there up to 11 o'clock at night. If he is prepared to go back to 10 o'clock, which is what he said, then I would be very happy with that indeed. I wouldn't argue about that. That's all I need to say, Chairman, on that point. Thank you. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak to committee.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. So we're going to summing up now. So if the objector would like to just say a few words, please, in summing up, and then we'll go to the applicant.
Okay. The main thing is it's just like Councillor Phillips has relayed the concerns of the community. So it's I'd say I'd sum up the same as what Councillor Phillips does and did. So there's not really anything else I need to add. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patel. Now we come to the applicant.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you have heard from us how robustly the 4 licensing objectives will be promoted. Ma'am, you also heard the guidance section 182 10.10 proportionate requiring how the conditions will be are tailored at the moment to make sure whatever problems we are listening to could be taken care of. There are conditions that have been laid up into the licensing, and that is one of the reasons the responsible authorities have had confidence in us. You do need to understand, and the objectors need to understand, that if we were to breach, or if my client were to breach any of those conditions, we would be in front of you and our license could be revoked. We understand that. Ma'am, we do also understand that there are problems regarding the parking, but that isn't the matter for this committee to discuss. It's a planning matter which should be looked into, and I'm sure the planning would look into those matters when the shop is open. Ma'am, the shop has been remained closed in that area for the last 10 years. You heard that, and it used to be a barber shop. We need to revive ourselves. If you look at whatever we are dealing with in our country at the moment, where businesses are focusing into getting back into their feet. So there is a chance here that we will revive back the area. We will understand everything. We will make sure we will robustly be promoting the 4 licensing objectives to make sure nothing happens in the area, but it revives back. There will be a CCTV, there will be lighted up. The area will look much better. Considering that the client will be happy to serve the community, local community, in the areas that they have done past with their experience, where they've been still in business 8 to 10 years without any breaches. So maybe you need to look at those, and we feel, I'm 100% sure that you will look at those and the conditions laid up and do it. And may I also just likely to make you understand that the shop will not open for the next month or so. If the license is granted, the shop will be refurbished, will be repainted, the area will look much better before the actual trading will start. So that is what so we request, ma'am, that there is a lot of investment going to go into the area, and you will look at our consideration and grant the license today.
Okay, thank you for that. We're going to go into recess now with our legal advisor. You will have notification within 5 working days of the decision, okay? But thank you for both, or all, for attending this morning. And I wish you well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
We